DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into a live edition this week of Concrete Jungle here on FingerLakes1.com. I am Paul Russo. That is Kyle Evans. We are over on our new Studio B side of things, or whatever we're technically going to end up calling it here at this point. But Kyle, good to see you in person for Concrete Jungle this week. We got the Mets. I don't think neither one of us had that when we predicted last week. The Mets are winning the Subway Series, the first part of it here this year. Although I think we kind of did, now that I'm thinking back on it, admittedly. I think, because I just remember both of us saying, I think at one point, it would be the most unsurprising thing for the Mets to beat the Yankees. But, hey, the Mets have some positive momentum kind of rolling here at this point. The Yankees in the opposite way. So we're going to kind of work a little bit backwards here, work through kind of everything as we get to, I guess, a whole entire week of conclusions here. So the Mets take the Subway Series 2-1. The Yankees only one coming on Friday. The Mets, with I think the Sunday win probably is going to get the most headlines now out of any of them for them. So, just I guess the initial thoughts here following the first Subway Series of the season.
Yeah, the road trip didn't start well to begin with, but then you felt good about Friday night picking up a win, and then Saturday. I mean, I thought Saturday and Sunday were both winnable games for the Yankees. They're one out away yesterday, and the Mets, who I believe it was 89 consecutive games when trailing after 8 innings, had not come back to win a game. And, of course, they snapped that yesterday with the rally against David Bednar. And of all people, Tyrone Taylor hitting the game-tying shot. I see a lot of fans. I know we're kind of on the Mets, but it's like May swoon for the Yankees now. It's not June swoon. I mean, they're having their worst stretch of the season, of course. And like I said, 2-7 on that 9-game road trip. And for the Mets, I mean, winners of 6 of their last 10. They seem to be just playing better in all facets of the game, except for catching pop flies.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of the highlights over the weekend. But yeah, the Mets should be feeling good right now, and the Yankees should be like, wow, what is happening?
Yeah, I think, it's a good point you brought that up. Maybe the actual term or anything of the weekend here might be Metsing. Because the Yankees had their fair share of it as well, though, in this series. I think mainly, again, yesterday on Sunday. It's interesting to bring up Bednar. I do want to bring him up, obviously, in a little bit. Like I said, we're going to be working kind of backwards today, kind of starting with this closer series because they obviously played each other, the rivalry weekend overall throughout the MLB, even though there's a couple that just don't make any sense every year, so it's like, whatever. But I digress from that. Yeah. Tyrone Taylor, man. It's a name we haven't said in like 2 years, which is the crazy part. But yeah, first time, like you said, it's been, I think, I've heard 89 and 90 both ways, but either way, it goes back to the Pete Alonso walk-off in the postseason a couple years ago. And if you're the Mets, like you mentioned, they're 6 of now in their last 10. You get through what probably a lot of people had you written off in the series overall, I think, through the weekend. Things, I think it's tough, right? You probably go through Friday and you think, like, here we go, right? And then, Saturday, was there a moment where you probably thought, like, oh, we're going to collapse and lose here again? I think, to be fair, yeah. You mentioned the pop fly deal, right? What ended up being the Yankees' last run scored came off of a drop fly ball, but after that you get insurance and everything like that, and it pays off. And then yesterday you come back and you win in walk-off fashion and extras. Kind of one of those deals in my mind where it's like, can't really complain in the grand scheme of it. That seems to be kind of, I think, the narrative for a lot of stuff we talk about this year at the moment on the podcast. But, like, I don't know, if you're the Mets and you went into this series, right, and you end up outscoring the Yankees. Actually, no. Yeah, you did. You outscored them by 1. Math is hard sometimes on a Monday. I think you kind of put the hat in the feather in the hat and everything. You're like, hell yeah! Now you get to roll into the series later on in the summer here, going to the Bronx, and you got the chest puffed out a little bit. I think you feel pretty damn good about yourselves, and I think. Look, a lot of it too, right? Maybe they're finally just getting to the spot where it's like, okay, eventually the mean has to catch up to the average here, or the average has to catch up to where the actual number is, because the Mets are too good of a team to still at the end of the day kind of be what they have been. That's something we talked about, and we're going to kind of go more in depth on here in a few minutes. But I don't know. I think overall maybe this is the perfect transition for them to go back into their past week, right? Of just okay, as we talked about the past couple of weeks, right, where it's you can't have 500 weeks, and they had 500 weeks. I know 6 of your last 10 isn't exactly going super above 500, but it's better than that 5-5 stuff that we had talked about the past couple podcasts, and I think they're in a spot where you look around a little bit, right, and it's okay, are we on the Braves level? Probably not. Phillies are kind of pulling away a little bit. That's good. The Nationals, plucky, but somewhat down back to earth a little bit too. The Marlins, I think a little bit of that too. Look, I know we've been doom and gloom on them for a little bit now, but I don't think they're totally out of the question of postseason stuff by any means at this point. But that being said, and we'll get more into this here in a second as well. Again, they have to continue building on this 6 of 10, right? Now let's see if they can make it 7 of 10 going through the next 10.
Yeah, and if you want to go with smaller sample size, I mean, they went 5-1 on their homestand, before the road trip begins tonight. And, they did sweep a Tigers team that's just not what they were last year, at least to start off the year.
Yeah.
But this is a type of week that we looked for, back in April when they were going through a 12-game losing streak. And, they got they would get a win and then just completely go backwards the next game. And this is the most consistent they've been. And you just wonder, because of the way the walk-off win happened yesterday and how they rallied, is this the turning point in the season? Not only did they, like I said, have a 5-1 week, but to win a game that way against a team like the Yankees, who, every time a team beats the Yankees, they're just extra thrilled about it. And so I'm kind of interested to see how this upcoming road trip goes, and see if they can build on more winning weeks. Because, the only way they'll ever get back into this, at least for a wild card, would be to, at worst have a 500 week, but winning weeks. It's only late May. There's so much time left. And like you said, on paper, they're better than what they are. They're going to get some of the guys back that they've been missing. Juan Soto was a little better against the Yankees over the weekend, but he had been in a really bad slump too. So I think there's just some stuff you can look at and still not totally rule them out and have some hope.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned a key part there too that we'll touch on here in just a couple minutes as well. But the health stuff again. I know you said get guys back, but also in the past week they've also been dealing with another major blow. So, but yeah, it's interesting because you want to go back to the Tiger series as well for the Mets quickly. 10-2, 3-2, 9-4. So, we talk again about the run differential a lot the past couple of weeks, and just they blew Detroit out of the water on that front. Mind you, they beat the Yankees by 1 in that regard, but it's slowly there's a term in racing that a guy uses called stacking pennies, right? Eventually, you just keep building, and that stack becomes like $1. $1 becomes 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 at that point, right? And eventually, I think that stuff you build it up enough that you can get going. And I think I would for sure probably put this at they're at the building blocks of it. But and this from growing up, right? We all played with blocks and whatever growing up. Pretty easy though to knock down those blocks still. So you have to be smart about it, right? Just not be the Mets as we would call it at this point, and keep it going. Let's keep on with the Mets, and then we'll shift over to the Yankees here. I want to start because that ended up being a big talking point through the weekend. I know MLB Network, for example, was just hammering it home. But vote of confidence for Carlos Mendoza over the course of the past week from the front office and management from the Mets. Look, they're right? They outright explicitly said that, like, the players have to be better, and they aren't playing to where they should be. And that's something that, Kyle, we did talk about on here. I just think it kind of ignores a little bit of the fact still that, like, the message that Mendoza might be conveying still might be falling on deaf ears. And I don't want to take away from, say, what his role in the past week might be. But, like I mentioned, like, how much of it, though, is just the players finally being to where they're supposed to be, right? Like, like you mentioned Juan Soto, right? Like, when's he going to come around? Like, Bo Bichette, when's that stuff going to finally make sense and work, right? And part of that could be on the manager side. Like, I'm not going to sit here and deny it. We both have played in baseball. We both have dealt with stuff on, the coaching and management side of stuff for baseball at this point. I don't think we're ignorant enough to say, right, that it might not be a thing, but, like, I don't know. I don't know how much of a difference Mendoza makes when you win 9-4 or 10-3, like they did against Detroit and stuff like that. Not that I don't respect or anything like along the lines of disrespect what the Mets front office is doing, right? They're going to stick very clearly with their guy as of right now. But I think still against the backdrop of what you've seen the Phillies do, what you've seen the Red Sox do, and mind you, I would make the case that they're both on two very different paths right now. So maybe that's not the best angle to look at it, but I don't know. I think it's tough too. Like, you fire Mendoza, I think it's a fair question. Like, what do you do? I would imagine they probably wouldn't be so gung-ho on maybe just keeping it in-house interim-wise in terms of bench coaching or somebody else on the bench. To dip our toe a little bit into the AAA stuff, I'm a big Dick Scott guy, the AAA manager at Syracuse. He's a baseball lifer. He has been in this Mets organization for years. He knows a lot of the guys on it. He was the interim manager for the Mets, I think, borderline a decade plus ago, give or take, before they brought in Terry Collins. He's a guy who I think knows a lot of the guys. He knows the game. Do I think he's the right fit for right now, though, in New York? I don't think so either. So, like, I think it's one of those, like, I get both sides of the argument for sure. I just find it really interesting that they outright and explicitly said it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, a 5-1 week will get the people talking, but as you said, I agree. I mean, it comes down to the players. I think if they did make a manager change and this new manager, was in place, interim manager, you can make an argument that they could have even had a better stretch over the last couple of weeks. I mean, we've seen it with the Phillies. The Phillies, like you said, have been one of the teams you mentioned that have been taken off, finally over 500. It's pretty crazy, and the Red Sox are just completely opposite. But, yeah, I mean, it can still spin out of control, but, winning helps, as I know with the team on my hat for 14 years. Just win, and good things will happen with the organization.
For sure, yeah. Of course, we'll see how this all plans out. All right, let's get to some injury stuff here for the Mets. They probably, I don't know. I guess it depends upon how you want to make the case for either side of who had the worst week in terms of injury news. Pretty interesting, of course, last week. We did kind of touch on it a little bit, but not a ton. A.J. Ewing, who, I mean, good thing we don't really get freezing cold takes on here every so now and then. I said when he got promoted to Syracuse, essentially, 3 weeks ago now, technically, don't expect to see him in the big leagues anytime soon. I was wrong. We did touch on a little bit last week. Obviously, kind of ties into some deeper injury stuff and everything like that from the past couple weeks for them. But for the Mets, I think the main stuff here really comes into a battery mate here in Clay Holmes and Francisco Alvarez. Francisco Alvarez went down first with this injury, meniscus tear, right side. Look, I think we're both kind of big fans of like the game he can play and stuff like that. It's become a matter though now of like he is just never healthy, unfortunately, right? I mean, this was a guy who I feel like we talked a ton about like his hand, like thumb injuries and stuff like that over the course of the past couple of years. Now it's meniscus and it's a 10-day IL stint, but it's going to be obviously much longer than that. Hayden Singer was called back up from Syracuse as the corresponding move there, but like kind of begin there for an offense that was kind of finding its footing, a guy that you hope to kind of be a big part of that, as well as obviously defensively catcher-wise. Just, I mean, I know you mentioned, right, Kyle, that like guys are slowly coming back, but it's like it feels like they're kind of trading one for one almost at this point in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about the Alvarez midweek. I was just thinking Clay Holmes, and kind of crazy that was the only game the Yankees would end up winning. But yeah, I mean, you don't want your starting catcher Alvarez ever out of the lineup, and as injured as he seems to always be, I mean, you wouldn't want Luis Torrens over him, and it's funny that you see people freak out about Alvarez sometimes, aka Frank Fleming.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of teams. I mean, we're gonna get into it. Austin Wells. I mean, that used to be a serious conversation with the other New York team regarding their starting catcher. So I think a lot of teams love to have Alvarez, but I also will say some of the injuries are fluke, like sliding into bases and jamming fingers and like this. I mean, when he fouled that ball, I did not think it would be this significant.
No.
So I don't know. Maybe his luck will turn. He's still so young. And then, yeah, Clay Holmes losing him in the starting rotation. I mean, he's actually been pretty solid. I'm kind of shocked. Like, as bad as he was with the Yankees in relief as a closer, I was like, there's no way he can handle this. And he really has handled it. And, yeah, other guys are going to have to step up. We're going to probably see a lot. I feel like we're always seeing roster moves, too, with AAA Syracuse.
Yeah.
Way more than the Yankees do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I just looking at the list right now just because of the info I'm looking at just to keep it, like, tight. It's kind of crazy going back now for literally the week, week plus now, but it's like, you know, names of guys I haven't seen in a while. Like Xavier Curry's on a minor league deal now with the Mets. Like, even though he played in the big leagues this year, Washington actually, I think, was in Rochester for like a minute, but, you know, Sino Perez, just guys like that. It's kind of like crazy. But yeah, speaking of fluke, Clay Holmes, comebacker right at him. And look, I'm not going to claim I've never broken any bones or anything like that in my leg, but that man stayed in that game longer than I thought. Obviously, adrenaline's a hell of a thing. 15-day injured list, apparently avoiding surgery, avoiding kind of like all the major stuff there. And you mentioned that not to pardon the pun inadvertently here, but like the Mets kind of catch a break here in that sense where it's like this is not going to be a longer term thing as like initially reported, where the initial thing I see from it, it's like he broke his fibula, and I'm like, how in the hell, like what? And mind you, obviously I think this is the better of two options, right? With your fibula, but yeah, I mean, just another brutal thing. Corresponding move there's Joey Gerber gets recalled from Syracuse. I don't know if that's really going to technically stick. That might just kind of be like what the Yankees are kind of doing right now, where it's like we're bringing up a bullpen guy, but he's only going to be up for like a day, and then we'll bring up somebody else type thing. But yeah, I mean, just for the Mets here, like, again, you mentioned just kind of the randomness of the injury, and it's like, okay, here we go. Like, what are the odds? And I mean, comebackers all the time like that are scary. I mean, you were a pitcher, you know. I don't think anything like that's exactly fun when you don't have any time to react. But yeah, I think the Mets weirdly also kind of dodge a little bit of a bullet, being it only being a broken right fibula.
I mean, yeah, they definitely dodged a bullet. Cam Schlittler has had like 6 this year, like 3 the other night in that start against the Mets, and a couple actually where the trainer has come out and checked, and it's just crazy. He's like a magnetic, I don't know what you want to call it, but like every time, like it's always the right leg. So hopefully one of these times doesn't happen to the Yankees. But yeah, Spencer Jones really ripped that ball at Clay Holmes, and it's kind of crazy that he did stay in and he did walk. I can't remember who was the hitter after, but he walked him on 4 pitches. I was like, yeah, this guy is not right. No. And sure enough, we found out the news after the game.
Yeah, I think Luke Weaver was the one who kind of was like the one really more the next day who'd talk about like, I don't know how he actually did it. Nobody does. And yeah, like I said, I mean, I pull my hamstring and I'm done for like 3 weeks. Like I don't know. Also, I don't know. I got the splint still on my finger, so who the hell knows what's happening. All right, let's look ahead here for the Mets. Bit of a mini-ish getaway for the week here, all in division, though, at Washington for 4 games, today through Thursday, and then at Miami for 3, and then back home on Memorial Day for the Reds. Still not really sure what we're going to be doing next week for the podcast because of that, so maybe we can dip a little bit deeper into the waters there, but yeah, it's an interesting, for sure, at least couple series here on the road. Kind of mentioned, right, the Nationals will come back down to earth here a little bit recently. Same with the Marlins. That being said, these are 2, in my mind, still pretty good teams, all things considered, right? I don't think you can really hide away from either team, if that makes sense, right? We talk about, like, in baseball, how you can't hide in a lineup or anything like that. I would expect the Mets to win the series against the Marlins. It's the 4 games with the Nationals, in all honesty, I kind of feel like in the middle. Like I think they might just outright split 2-2 against the Nationals. It's kind of the vibe I get from there. The Marlins I feel like weirdly good about in terms of like getting a series win, but the Nationals thing is I think it's the 4 games element for it to me, right? I've said it all the time on here. Like, I'm not a fan of really gauging out the 4-game series just because of how long they are. You don't know sometimes what might happen. I mean, you never know truly anyway, but like, you don't like the 4 games just feel like such a long duration for a series that like, I just feel like 2-2 is a amicable goal to have within that to have. Maybe it's not the proper goal, but like, for what it is right now, I think if you got 2 against Washington, do a true split, and then you get the series against Miami, you kind of go back home on Memorial Day to play a good Reds team. Again, I think I go back to it. Just continually stack like the pennies side of it, and I think they'll be fine. So I think what I'm going with for the week for them.
Yeah, I think I agree. Although history tells you that the Nationals, just for whatever reason, no matter the year, give the Mets trouble. We've seen a lot of those, even when the Mets have been really good. But I think at least a split. So, yeah, and then if they win the series in Miami, it's 4-3. Yeah, I think it's going to be like a 4-3 week.
Yeah.
And anything worse, it's like, man, look what you just did, and now you're doing this again. You can't erase that 5-1 homestand you just had.
Yeah. I love this from just like a nerd side tonight, but Christian Scott, Jake Irvin, former top prospects respectively for different reasons for both teams. Just one of those things, I guess. Ooh, Noel McLean and Foster Griffin tomorrow. To be determined. That's the Clay Holmes spot. And Zach Littell, and then another to be determined in Cade Cavalli. So it's what's on deck for the Mets, who they'll see against Washington this week. So I don't know. Been a nice little renaissance for a couple of these Washington pitchers too. Cade Cavalli, I know, has kind of found his own a little bit here. Mentioned Jake Irvin a little bit, but like we said, for whatever reason, it's plucky against them. So. All right, for the Yankees, I think we do have to start again kind of with them on the injury side of stuff here. I think the main course here is obviously Max Fried. Obviously, they avoid major injury risk with him involving the left elbow, his pitching elbow. But that being said, it's going to be at least down for the 15 days, probably to me a little bit more. The scans and imaging came back pretty clean. I know they brought in Neil Itachi for some secondary opinions and stuff like that, but just one of those things where I know we've mentioned, right, over the course of the past couple weeks, right, like Rodon's back, Cole's going to be back here within probably days at this point, right? Like, so you're kind of thinking, like, the Yankees are probably in a really good spot, obviously, right? Like, you're not going to have to, not a knock on him, right? But it's like you mentioned last week, Ryan Weathers is in an interesting spot with his innings right now because he's never thrown this many innings in his career. He's been dinged up by injury a lot of times, right? So you kind of get a proper, what I would say, 5-man rotation in the sense of what would have been Cole, Rodon, Fried, whatever order, right? Cole, Rodon, Fried, Warren, and Schlittler. And now it's looking like you're going to probably have to go back to either the 4-man well or with the Weathers well and kind of go from there. But I guess start from the standpoint of the Yankees just avoid probably a really major issue, though, with Fried in the elbow for the moment.
Yeah, the only thing I really have to say is, are we ever going to see Max Fried and Garrett Cole be a 1-2 punch?
That's true.
I mean, when they got Max Fried, that's what we were all hoping for. And then, of course, the Tommy John surgery in spring training last year for Cole. But yeah, just based on the pitching plans upcoming, I think because Rodon's back and Cole will probably be back next week, that they're not going to rush Fried at all. I think it's going to be actually I think it's going to be at least a month, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they're going to kind of do what they always do and, like, give us what we want to hear more so, when in reality it's going to be longer. And in their heads, they're probably thinking, again, like, why rush? We got 2 guys back and we lost 1. We still, we're in a positive direction. And they still have guys. I mean, we saw Elmer Rodriguez be the correspondent move the other day. I think yesterday, actually. And,
Yep.
or
2 days ago.
Yeah. There's options, and, it's late May. It sucks that Fried was hurt. You could tell he was hurt, I think, the last few starts.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't himself. So it's good that he kind of pulled himself out of that game early on, his last start, and is going to get it fixed. I worried right away because everyone was saying, like, that could be, like, part of his UCL. But, yeah, I think we're in the clear. So
Yeah,
just let him take his time.
And I think that's even why with, like I mentioned, the images and scans coming back clear that, like, they brought in, obviously, El Ataje, who's now the premier arm guy, in the MLB. And, it's definitely a better safe than sorry scenario, right? I mean, obviously, it's not ideal, like we're saying, but, like, I don't know. I mean, you hope it's just, like you said, the month probably, and you get back going here at the end of June with what you hope is your full deck on the rotation. Yeah, so kind of goes back a little bit further now in the week. Was like our poor boy Caballero. So the injury, I believe, goes back technically to a week ago, literally tonight against Baltimore. Dove back into first. That's where they think he fractured his finger on his right hand. Did come in to pinch run the next night, but one of those deals where I think a lot of people, it's tough for me to fully blame anything or one way or another, in the sense of should you or shouldn't you. If at the time, if you're Aaron Boone and you're told at the time that, like, hey, like, limit him, but, like, he can do these things and he wants to go and do these things, like, I don't hate the pinch run scenario. He also, I know just because the play itself ended up being a big deal in the moment that night with replay and everything to wrap up the game. Like, he slid in at feet first on that slide too. Like, it wasn't like he dove in head first in the second base. So you're minus a guy who is tied technically defensively and runs saved at shortstop, whatever that stat means. To me, it just means, like, you're playing good defense, like, whatever. But Anthony Volpe, now back up on the active roster, the corresponding move there has not been obviously glamorous at the moment yet either there for him. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, I take it from me. I don't know. Like, I'm on the back end clearly of this 4 to 6 weeks that I got told on mine. So fingers are a hell of a thing, man. They suck. We'll see kind of how things go here. I know we talked about Volpe a ton last year, the past few years, and even this year, right, when he was ramping up to what we thought would be coming back to a major league roster spot when it wasn't. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you're Volpe in that sense, probably good that you'll have some guaranteed-ish playing time. But to me, it just sucks because Caballero is having just such a great year, right? And that's probably under saying or under whatever, but, like, it's just like, damn, dude, like, he couldn't catch a break at the right time for that, and they puts the Yankees, like I said, in this now interesting spot with Volpe at this point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously players are going to sometimes say stuff that because they want to just be back on the field. But, I mean, he did say he thinks it's going to take the minimum 10 days, and that hitting wasn't a problem. It was just throwing. and that's also what Aaron Boone said. So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, again, you shouldn't rush him because you do have Volpe, even though, you know, it is what it is with him. I mean, the second game back, he makes a fielding error.
Mm-hmm.
Finally had a couple hits yesterday, but yeah, I feel like this is just another situation though where they won't rush it, because you don't want a guy to come back and kind of change his mechanics because he's trying to make sure he doesn't hurt his finger more. So yeah, I don't think they should rush it, but it does suck for him. I mean, he was so good for the Yankees, and we thought he was just gonna lose his spot because of Volpe, and they actually stuck with him. And then man, he gets injured. It's just tough luck.
Mm-hmm.
And again, sliding to bases.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're actually like getting hit with a pitch or whatever. Like they're actually just trying to make a play, and then the bad stuff happens.
Yeah. So who knows on that front? Yeah. A couple guys I think are fair conversations to be having here for a couple minutes here on the Yankees too. Do you want to go catching first or the closer spot first?
Probably catching.
All right, we'll start with Austin Wells. So I remember I said to you last year when we weren't doing the podcast, it's a good thing Anthony Volpe's taking a lot of the heat because Austin Wells wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire. And here we are again. 173 average, sub 300 on base. Slugging is 264, OPS 556. He had the, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, an unfortunate part of yesterday's game of being the one to ground into the double play to end up 10 the 10th inning for the Yankees. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I wanted to work with Austin Wells. I've said that a ton. It's just the catching thing for the Yankees right now is very confusing. And maybe not confusing. I don't think it's confusing in the traditional sense, but I think we'll go to the Marlins here for a second. Augustine Ramirez was a big part of that trade a couple years ago for Jazz Chisholm now, right? And guess where Augustine Ramirez is playing right now? Jacksonville, AAA, because stuff hasn't translated fully yet for him at the big league level. And he was part of the same kind of crop of catchers that Wells was a part of for the Yankees. I don't know. I mentioned this, I think, about a month or so ago, give or take, maybe a little bit later, but Austin Wells to me is very lucky right now that the Yankees just don't have any other better options catching wise, because I think on any other team he probably would be, I don't know if he'd be back at AAA, but he certainly wouldn't be the de facto everyday starting catcher, right? And it's not a knock on Escara, but it very clearly the gap even there is noticeable, right? I don't know, man. If to me, the way I view it, you want to do some trade deadline stuff, I think catching's got to be the number one thing for the Yankees right now, in all honesty. I think, and like I mentioned, we're getting into the closing stuff here in a second, but I just, we're on probably 2.5 years in now on trying to figure out this deal with Austin Wells, and it's tough because to me his defense has really come around. He handles the staff really well, but the bat is what ended up taking the tank from it. And I don't know, man. I think we're at the end of the Austin Wells thing as well.
Yeah, unless you're Aaron Boone in the front office. He had 21 homers and 71 RBIs last year. He smoked a couple balls the other night.
Yeah.
So we're not going to consider giving him time off, even a few days off. Okay. And what does he do last night or yesterday in the 10th inning with a runner on third and one out? Can't even lift the ball in the air for a sac fly. Instead, grounds into a double play, inning-ending double play, and then of course they go on to lose. And you look at his numbers. I mean, he's now had 110 at-bats, and he has 5 runs batted in. I mean, that's unbelievable to even comprehend. A major league hitter getting 110 at-bats, having 5 runs batted in, from a guy that is known to have power. Hit 21 last year, like you
Yeah.
just mentioned, and you can see the stretches of where he can be a pretty solid major league catcher. But yeah, it's starting to be real concerning. I mean, even with the 21 homers last year, I know average isn't everything, but 209 average, you're not getting enough consistency from him,
Yeah.
and you just feel like there's more in there, and for whatever reason, it's not. It's just not working out. And I will say, like, yeah, trade deadline catchers should be at the top of the list, but it's also really, really hard to find an offensive catcher that will consistently put up numbers. So, like, when you look at the numbers last year, as bad as the average was, you can't find many catchers that are going to give you 21 home runs and 71 runs batted in.
Yeah.
The problem is he's nowhere near that pace through 110 at bats. So I don't know. I don't know what you do. I mean, I guess JC Escar should be playing more. I mean, they're both left-handed bats. It's not like they're doing the right-handed, left-handed thing like they used to with Trevino or Higashioka.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably just need to give Wells time off. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, they did it with McMahon, and McMahon actually started hitting over 300 for like a week, and now McMahon's back to where he left off. So it just depends on the hitter, I think. But if we get late into the year, I think I said this a couple episodes ago, and he's still not hitting, I just don't know how he can be your future anymore. You have to seriously start looking for other options.
Yeah, I mean, and look, in the immediacy, right, of this, you look at AAA. Ali Sanchez is him and Peyton Henry are the two main catchers at Scranton, and they're pretty much putting up the same numbers, in terms of like average and stuff like that. But like neither one of them are the long-term answer, obviously here, right? And even then, like that's going to have to involve a roster move. Neither one of them are on the 40-man. So like that's why to me I think the answer has to lie probably somewhere else. I don't know. We'll see. Like we're saying, it's going to have to be a deal where they have to figure this deal out. Like, because that's the thing too. Like you said perfectly, right? Like how many catchers are going to give you 20 plus homers consistently, right? How many are going to give you that RBI range of 70 to 80 consistently? Like there aren't many, but I think me and you both agree though on the sense of like average still holds a lot of merit. Like there's a reason why a guy, maybe not the right person to use here, but there's a reason why Luis Arias is still a sought after player at the big league level. So who knows? David Bednard. Again, this is, I think, very similar to the Wells thing, at least numerically. I think it's a little bit different, right? Because Bednard's a proven commodity in that sense. But what is it? He's given up a run in like 12 of 17 appearances now or something like that. Like, just not great. I don't know. Again, this kind of lies in a similar, I think, path, right? Of like, well, who's behind him, right? Who could you give some trust to? I think the obvious question would be like, well, Duvall, right? Former closer with the Giants, all-star closer. And I think we're both kind of like, sure, yeah, maybe for a game, but not, multiple in a row to maybe reset Bednard. I don't know. Like, this is another one where I'm kind of sitting here kind of like mystified, right? About like where do you go from here with Bednard? Because he's the guy that you probably had, he was your biggest trade piece last year, right? That you brought in at the deadline, frankly. What do you do? I don't know. I think it's easier, right? In the sense of like you get to reset, potentially a guy in the bullpen than you are, say, a position player. But yeah, do you go Duvall? Probably not. Do you do Cruz? Maybe. Can I give you the guy I think I would do? Brent Hedrick. In all honesty, I know you chuckle, but like when he first came up with Minnesota, now like 6 years ago or something, well, maybe less than that. His big splash into the thing was a 3-inning save. Like, it was kind of crazy. He's arguably probably been the best bullpen arm for the Yankees anyway this year. Like, if you want to do a true reset on Bednard for like a week, I think you just roll Hedrick and just let it ride. I don't know, but the Bednard thing I think is a bit easier to maybe try and figure out a little bit than the Wells thing, like I mentioned, just because you have this kind of de facto more options to maybe sit and figure it out with the guy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think just early on, I didn't like how much they were using him.
Yeah,
Um,
you were on that early.
yeah, I mean, even like just the World Baseball Classic, the spring training, I mean, the multiple inning saves he was getting early on. It just, to me, it seems like he's run out of gas. I think the curveball isn't working. We saw that yesterday with Tyrone Taylor. Another thing that I could fault Austin Wells for. I mean, what is that? What are you calling that? You just struck out Mark Vientos on 3 fastballs, and the first pitch to Tyrone Taylor, you're going to throw a curveball. Like,
Yeah.
what is I just didn't understand the pitch calling there, but yeah, I mean, I think David Bednar will definitely get it figured out. I just think you also need to give him some more rest. I mean, you look at his last 15 games, it's a 5.52 ERA, even
Mm-hmm.
last 7.36. But what I've noticed too is he's kind of just giving up a lot of hits. It's not always like 7 walks in 20 innings isn't terrible. Um, Obviously you'd like less walks, but like it just seems like every outing he's giving up like a leadoff hit or a 1-out hit, and then it kind of translates into like a bigger inning. So I don't know. Just give the guy a break, I think. I mean, you look at what is he already at? 20 innings.
Yeah.
20 innings. What is his career high? 67?
You something like that, yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's more fatigue than anything, and it's David Bednar. I mean, he's had one of the worst stretches I remember seeing as a reliever, and then the way he turned it around, and then the Yankees go out and trade for him, he's going to be fine.
Yep.
People are just treating it too much like Clay Holmes, because I get it, it's not stress-free, but look around the league, people. There's only a few really elite closers that shut it down totally. Mason Miller.
Yeah.
Although I've seen some traffic on the bases lately with Mason Miller.
Mm-hmm.
But people got to relax. I mean, you can't just 3 up, 3 down every time. Come on.
Yeah. It's not fair to anybody at that point. So, all right, the Yankees, 4 games at home against Toronto, and then 3 over the weekend against Tampa Bay before they head out over Memorial Day to Kansas City. Yeah, we talked a little bit off air about this, Kyle. This is become a pretty important series against Toronto, all things considered.
Massive homes.
And then, yeah, obviously because of the way Tampa Bay's been playing this year. Hello, neighbors in the standings. Yeah, important homestand might be a bit of an undersell, I would say, looking at it.
Yeah, the Yankees could get buried if they don't have a good homestand by the Rays, because the Rays, there was like some stat that it's been over a month since the Yankees won a game on a day that the Rays lost a game.
Yeah.
Because that literally happened Saturday. Oh, yeah, last 2 days. Or no, a couple of the days, I don't know, recently, where the Rays went and lost finally, and then the Yankees don't take advantage, and now here they are 3 back. And if they like only split with the Blue Jays and the Rays won another series, and then the Rays beat the Yankees head-to-head, we could talk about a 5-6 game gap by the end of the week. So, yeah, that's why I think it's so big.
Yeah. Corbin and Weathers tonight. Tomorrow is Dylan Cease, Will Warren. Wednesday, the youth game, Trey Savage, Cam Schlittler. That'll be fun. Then to be determined against Carlos Rodon on Thursday for that to wrap up the 4 games there. Yeah, I mean, I feel a little bit more confident in this 4-game set than I did for the Mets. I think the Yankees can get at least 3 from Toronto here. They should. And then, yeah, I mean, you mentioned, I don't need to continue saying it, right? I mean, this is big, but you got to win this series against Tampa Bay now early on to offset the way the past week plus has been for you. So, I mean, I guess, obviously it remains to be seen, who gets the ball on Friday. Is that the spot we see Garrett Cole potentially? I don't know. I think it'd be nice, but we'll have to see fully how it kind of goes. Or would it be Elmer again? Remains to be seen, obviously, but yeah, it'd be nice. So it's kind of the way I'm feeling and leaning right now for the Yankees this week.
Yeah, I mean, I hope. I don't know. I don't feel good about the homestand, just because the Blue Jays are such a pain. The Rays are such a pain. Even as bad as the Blue Jays have been, I mean, you look at some of the pitchers that are going for the Blue Jays, Savage being one of them. That guy just killed the Yankees last October. So I don't know. I guess I'll just get it out there. Like, I just don't really enjoy this team at all.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like, and it's late May. I mean, it's just so early. So many games left. But fine, I'll just say it, like a 4-3 homestand.
Right.
I'll say yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Before we go, want to make quick mention here, but Rochester finds himself now, mind you, the way they do it now is not the traditional quote unquote way, but Rochester leading the way in the International League East standings right now.
Yeah, can they get?
Who would have thought?
You got to get rid of that. I hate that stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It ruins like first half, second half.
Yeah. And I think it's unfair, too. You look at a team like Rochester, for example, right? And they have to jump 4 teams all on the other side of who are all in the IL West, who they don't play. And the ones that they do, like Gwinnett, for example, like it's one series in like August or something. Like, it's just, I don't know, kind of ridiculous to me. But
And I know travel's part of it too, but it would just be nice too to see them play other teams.
Right.
And I don't know. It is AAA at the end of the day, but I think it'd make it more fun.
Right. But I think locally, too, I think it's still a little bit of a big enough deal, right? Especially for weekends like coming up. Well, maybe not weekends, but I know like Rochester's home on Memorial Day, right? I know that's a big deal for a lot of people. Like, I think it makes it worth it when, the team, it's crazy because like I remember I saw when Scranton played up there at the beginning of April and we talked about it with them. I mean, you told me that they would be where they are right now. I probably would have laughed at you a little bit, but I think it kind of it's funny though because you mentioned it back when we were talking about the Mets. Go to Rochester's transaction page, right? It's like 12 moves for the whole month right now with Washington, and even then, like 2 of them are guys who are just have enough service time that they can get releases if they get DFA'd or outrighted. You look at Syracuse's, it's a lot because the Mets have had to do a lot. And so, like, there's some continuity stuff. And I know Syracuse is still above 500, right? But, like, it's been a rougher couple weeks for them in the grand scheme of it than, say, Rochester. So, hey, who knows? Either way, like I mentioned, we're finally getting some good stretch of weather here. I know, like I said, Rochester's home on Memorial Day. They're out of town this week. I think Syracuse is home this week, but not home on Memorial Day. So, get out if you can and go. So. All right, Kyle, I think that about does it for the podcast today. So, like I said, we're going to work behind the scenes here, try to figure out what next week is going to look like because of Memorial Day. We obviously won't be in the office. Tuesday might be on the table, I think. But either way, we'll figure it out and go from there. But, hey, we're plugging along here. I think we're essentially, a quarter of the way through the season, right? Give or take. Probably technically over at this point, but crazy to think about. It feels like quite literally, first episode of the season was like last week, and it's just not. So, well, appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in. You can find Concrete Jungle on fingerlakes1.com and the FO1 YouTube channel, the audio-only feed on Spotify and all other major podcasting platforms. Enjoy the week, everybody. I hope you all have a safe and fantastic unofficial start of summer here on Memorial Day weekend, and we will talk again next week.